In the autumn of 18, Mr. Lockwood, a London gentleman, rents Thrushcross Grange, a comfortable house on the Yorkshire moors. To avoid the bustle of his city life, he seeks quiet and solitude. His landlord is the mysterious Mr. Heathcliff, who lives 3 miles away at Wuthering Heights, a bleak farmhouse battered by wind and weather. Intrigued, Lockwood visits Heathcliff one stormy evening. Heathcliff is taciturn and brooding. His household comprises the surly servant Joseph, the morose housekeeper Zillah, and a young man named Hareton Earnshaw. Lockwood, striving for pleasantries, missteps by asking after a Catherine Linton, though Heathcliff's expression darkens at the name. Despite Heathcliff's chilly reception, Lockwood returns the next day, only to find Wuthering Heights' door locked. Forced to enter through a window, he encounters 2 pale, spectral children who seem barely alive. A little girl named Catherine Linton, the younger, and a small boy who aggressively bites Lockwood's hand. Horrified, Lockwood stumbles out, and Heathcliff reluctantly allows him entrance. Inside, Lockwood notices faded portraits. One of young Catherine Earnshaw, whom Heathcliff loved obsessively, and another of a man named Edgar Linton, the elder. Lockwood, seeking explanation, is rebuffed by Heathcliff. He departs, determined to learn more. Lockwood persuades Catherine Earnshaw's former nurse, Ellen Nellie Dean, to recount the dark history of Wuthering Heights and Thrushcross Grange. Nellie begins at 50 years earlier, when Mr. Earnshaw of Wuthering Heights, returning from a trip to Liverpool, brings home an orphan, Heathcliff, a dark-skinned, gypsy-like boy of about 5. Mr. Earnshaw's wife dies soon after, leaving Heathcliff in her care. Mr. Earnshaw favours Heathcliff, granting him affection that his own children, Catherine 8 and Hindley 6, resent. Hindley, humiliated by Heathcliff's presence, cruelly torments his new foster brother. Yet Heathcliff's loyalty to Mr. Earnshaw endears him to Catherine, and they become inseparable playmates, wild on the moors. When Mr. Earnshaw dies, Hindley inherits Wuthering Heights, demoting Heathcliff to the status of hired servant. Hindley's wife, Frances, arrives with their infant, Hareton. Hindley, embittered, treats Heathcliff harshly, denying him education and beating him. Yet Catherine remains loyal. She secretly rides across the moors to visit Heathcliff, forging a friendship based on fierce loyalty and shared mischief. One day, while trespassing near Thrushcross Grange, home to the refined Linton family, Heathcliff and Catherine are attacked by the Lintons' fierce mastiff. Catherine escapes to the Grange but is bitten. Heathcliff regains consciousness only to find he has escaped to Wuthering Heights. Catherine stays at Thrushcross Grange to recuperate for 6 weeks, receiving polished manners that contrast Wuthering Heights' rustic ways. Her transformation strains her relationship with Heathcliff, who feels betrayed when Catherine adopts Grange's gentility and expresses scorn for his lowly status. Upon Catherine's return to Wuthering Heights, she is refined but restless, complaining of the moor's insufficiency. She befriends Edgar Linton, the gentle heir of Thrushcross Grange, and begins to spend more time there. Heathcliff, burned by jealousy and unrestrained love for Catherine, vows revenge on all who slight him. He vanishes for 3 years, leaving Catherine in torment. She continues to enjoy the comforts of Thrushcross Grange, yet feels an irresistible pull to Heathcliff's wild spirit. When Heathcliff returns, now dressed in fine clothes and claiming ownership of a fortune, Hindley's gambling has left Wuthering Heights mortgaged and in disrepair. Heathcliff, exploiting Hindley's weakness, ridicules him and acquires control of Wuthering Heights by ensuring Hindley's debts fall into his hands. Catherine has fallen hopelessly in love with Heathcliff, but she recognizes that a union with him would degrade her to his lower station. At Thrushcross Grange, Edgar Linton proposes to Catherine, and though she hesitates, declaring she cannot be his wife if she cannot be Cathy to Heathcliff, she accepts Linton's offer to secure a comfortable life. Her reasoning: it would degrade me to marry Heathcliff now, so he shall never know how I love him. Heathcliff, infuriated by her betrayal, storms out. Catherine marries Edgar and moves into Thrushcross Grange, while Heathcliff, determined to punish both Lintons and Earnshaws, seethes silently behind the facade of fortune. Catherine becomes pregnant soon after her marriage. Meanwhile, Heathcliff ingratiates himself with Hindley Earnshaw by offering to manage his debts in exchange for Hindley's son, Hareton, as a servant. Heathcliff also begins to court Edgar's sister, Isabella Linton, enticing her with gifts and attention. Isabella, naive and lonely, falls for Heathcliff's dark charisma, though Edgar warns her to beware Heathcliff's cruel nature. Heathcliff proposes to her, marrying Isabella by trick, in an act of revenge on Edgar. Isabella leaves Thrushcross Grange, moving to Wuthering Heights and discovering Heathcliff's true, brutal temperament. He treats her as a captive and plaything, subjecting her to neglect and slight. Catherine's health deteriorates. After a violent quarrel with Edgar, arising from her confession that she loves Heathcliff more than her own soul, she collapses in fever. As she lies dying, Heathcliff visits, risking Edgar's fury. Catherine, delirious, expresses anguish. "Oh, my beloved, I love you, it is eternal. Why did you deceive me, return only to hear me wed another? If I were in the grave, I would but reopen my arms to embrace you." She dies ghost-like after giving birth to a daughter, Cathy Linton, leaving Edgar devastated and Heathcliff shattered. Isabella flees Wuthering Heights, fleeing Heathcliff's cruelty and seeking refuge with her brother. She gives birth to a son, Linton Heathcliff but succumbs to a broken heart and poor health, dying soon after. Heathcliff claims custody of Linton, planning to use him as a pawn in his vendetta. 13 years pass. Lockwood returns to Thrushcross Grange to find Nellie Dean still in Edgar Linton's service, now caring for young Cathy Linton, the daughter of Catherine and Edgar. Edgar grieves for his late wife, yet cherishes his child-spirited nature. He insists that Cathy never visit Wuthering Heights after Heathcliff's abuse of Isabella and sabotage of Hareton's upbringing. At Wuthering Heights, Heathcliff raises Linton Heathcliff, Catherine's nephew, instilling in him a delicate constitution and wheedling, manipulative ways. Heathcliff's plan emerges. To secure ownership of Thrushcross Grange, he must marry his son Linton to young Cathy Linton, thereby uniting the Linton and Earnshaw inheritances under his control. Nellie visits Wuthering Heights to deliver a letter from Edgar to Heathcliff, requesting permission for Cathy to visit. Heathcliff allows Cathy to cross the moors to Wuthering Heights on the promise to return quickly. When Cathy arrives, Linton greets her with an apology. He is too weak to escort her back, and his father insists Cathy stay until he recovers. In truth, Heathcliff forbids Cathy's return, forcing her into an emotional alliance with Linton in a plan to manipulate him. Cathy and Linton grow fond of one another, but Linton's delicate health ensures he cannot return to Thrushcross Grange without dying. Cathy resists Heathcliff's demands to marry Linton, yet finds herself trapped. Edgar, believing her in keeping with her father's instructions, makes no demand for her return. Meanwhile, Hareton Earnshaw has grown into a rough, uneducated young man, Hindley's son, living in the squalor of Wuthering Heights, denied education by Heathcliff. Nellie, moved by Hareton's potential and Cathy's plight, secretly tutors Hareton in reading and manners during Cathy's visits. Cathy, initially disdainful of Hareton's coarse ways, gradually warms to him as his kind heart and earnest desire to learn become evident. Linton Heathcliff dies soon after marrying Cathy in a cold, unloving ceremony orchestrated by Heathcliff. Heathcliff's gambit succeeds. Upon Edgar's death, overwhelmed by grief for Cathy and the failures to protect her, Cathy and Linton's marriage merged the estates under Heathcliff's sole control. Now a widowed teen, Cathy must live at Wuthering Heights as Heathcliff's unwilling daughter-in-law, barred from Thrushcross Grange. Battered by isolation, Cathy initially yields to Heathcliff's demands. Yet Nellie intervenes, convincing Cathy to teach Hareton. As Hareton's literacy improves, Cathy's respect and compassion for him bloom. Hareton, in turn, is patient and tender with Cathy, revealing a genuine devotion far removed from Heathcliff's cruel manipulations. Their shared moments among the dusty rooms of Wuthering Heights and the moor's bleak beauty kindle, an affection that outlasts Heathcliff's tyranny. Now an old man, Heathcliff wanders the moors in agony, haunted by Catherine's memory. He shows little mercy to those around him, yet he cannot reconcile the loss of his beloved Catherine. He torments the young lovers, forbidding Cathy to court Hareton, threatens to disinherit them, and exploits Linton's death to extract suffering. He also neglects food and rest, living in reminiscence, talking to Catherine's ghost, scribbling on the floor and yearning to join her beyond the grave. During a violent storm, Heathcliff drags Linton's corpse to Catherine Earnshaw's tomb, beseeching her spirit to speak to him. He curses God for their separation, insisting, "I cannot live without my soul." He weeps, clutching Linton's coffin, until his ravings admonish Hareton and Cathy to leave him be. They depart for Thrushcross Grange to avoid his wrath, for despite his cruelty, Heathcliff's unhappiness has hollowed him to the point of no return. 2 years later, Cathy Linton returns to Wuthering Heights with Hareton Earnshaw, now well-mannered and devoted, to secure Heathcliff's forgiveness. Heathcliff, frail and consumed by remorse, welcomes them coldly but permits them to tend to him. He confesses his suffering. "I am Heathcliff. He's always in my mind, not as a pleasure, any more than I am always a pleasure to myself, but as my own being." He gazes at Catherine's portrait, willing himself to die so he might join her in death, though he never fully forgives himself or forgets his torment. He humbly asks for peace. On a stormy night, with Cathy and Hareton at his side, Heathcliff quietly stoops toward Catherine's portrait, murmuring her name. At dawn, his face is found serene. He has finally died, perhaps at Catherine's beckoning. Hareton and Cathy, now free from Heathcliff's cruelty, inherit Wuthering Heights and Thrushcross Grange. They marry beneath the sunlit moors, forging a harmonious household infused with grace and generosity. Hareton's deep love for Cathy softens the legacy of Earnshaw tyranny, and Cathy's compassion redeems his family name. Together they plan to unite the two houses as one. Thrushcross Grange renovated, Wuthering Heights restored to habitation, while the bleak moors remain as they always were, a testament to the wild passions that once raged there. Lockwood, having heard Nellie's full account, leaves Thrushcross Grange in spring. He walks across the moors to Wuthering Heights one last time. Inside, he finds the refurbished farmhouse transformed. A woman, Cathy Earnshaw, welcomes him with a gentle smile. She shows him the garden where wild roses grow among the graves of Catherine and Heathcliff. Hareton Earnshaw, sturdy and respectful, stands beside her as they speak of new hope. The moors, once desolate, now gleam with promise of renewal. Lockwood departs, pondering the strange tale of love and revenge that destroyed one generation and healed the next. The wild moors, people walk upon them still, remain a landscape of memory, echoing the fierce spirits of Catherine and Heathcliff. Yet amid the howling winds and distant crags, a new lineage flourishes in harmony and peace, as the hardy Earnshaw and Linton families find solace in each other's devotion. Thus ends the saga of Wuthering Heights, 2 generations bound by passion, cruelty and redemption, all unfolding against the relentless, haunting beauty of the Yorkshire moors.